Hey plastic crack addicts, this is Jay here, bringing you my first battle report for my brand new channel, Lustria Lives. This is going to be a 2,400 point game of 9th Age Warhammer. If you haven't heard of the 9th Age, I suggest you go over to the9thage.com, check it out. It's a community driven rule set, it's all free, all the rule books, the armies and all the laws of magic. It's got slight changes in the names for copyright issues because we all know how much GW loves their IP. But most importantly, it's balanced. Well, it's getting there anyway. It's a lot better than 8th was, and it's a lot better than any version of Warhammer has ever been, really. But that's enough about that. Let's take a look at the game. As you can see, my opponent doesn't like having his photo taken. This is Doug, good mate of mine, been friends for years. Fantastic painter, great hobbyist, loads of fun to play against. Probably not the most tactically minded player ever, but Doug will be the first one to admit that. He's really in it for the love of the hobby, but that ultimately makes a great opponent. You can't really ask for more. I'm afraid you're going to have to forgive both of us for the unpainted models that both of us have in our armies. We're practicing for a tournament coming up in Firestone Games, which is where we're playing now. It's in February next year, 2016. But now let's take a look at deployment. We got normal deployment, lengthways, pitch battle we were playing. No objective markers on the board, plenty of buildings, plenty of terrain, but we were using them as impassable because we just wanted a good old slugfest and just see how the new versions of our armies were played out. Alright, starting on Doug's right flank, my left, he's got 3 units of skeleton warriors, 30 with full command. He's got a Banshee hero character on his extreme right flank. He's got 3 Vargeists in his list, 2 of them are here, one of them's the opposite flank on his left. Each of the Vargeists has got the upgrade for D3+1 stomps. He's got a unit of skin walkers, I think they're called, which are Forge World models, which are gorgeously painted, like everything in his army. They're going to be standing in for 6 Crypt Horrors. The giant spangly beast, which is all skin colour, that is also another Vargeist. And then behind them then is a unit of 30 skeleton warriors again, like I've already said. That one has got his level 4 inside of it, and his BSB, who's a White King. Doug had 1 level 4 Necromancer, which he kept in one of his skeleton units at the back. He rolled up on the Law of Vamps as 1, 3, 4, and 5. If you're that keen on looking them up, you can have a look at them. I can tell you one of them is the old or the new Curse of Years. Look for that later. And then in the centre, he's got 2 hordes of 40 zombies. I don't think they have any command. The separation is the ones that are painted. You can't really see, he's not really into keeping his units an inch apart. And behind them is just a plain corpse cart with the Balefire upgrade, which is -1 to enemy wizards casting within 24. That's a pain in the ass. And on his left flank then, he's got the last of his 3 Vargeists and his Black Coach. These are just some close-ups of his army because it's gorgeously painted. I've got a terrible microphone, and as you can probably already hear, and an even worse camera. So if this battle report is, turns out well and gets well received, then I'll put a bit more effort in, see if I can get a better camera and a better microphone. And on my right flank, I have a Troglodyte. I'm just going to keep using the original name GW gave to all the models, otherwise I'm just going to get confused. Then I have 35 Saurus warriors with spears, full command, war banner, and I have the spawning of attack in an additional rank. So that unit, 5 wide, 7 deep, is going to kick out 15 supporting attacks and 10 from the front rank, 11 with the champion. So tasty. There's a lone solo salamander just sitting in front of the building, and then towards my centre I have a unit of 3 pterodons, Vanguard and Fast Cab versions, the ones that die to a stiff breeze. And behind them I have my skink Captain BSB, who's mounted on a Stegodon Ancient with +1 strength, +1 wound, who's carrying a Flame Aura, which is a Lizardmen magic item which allows him and his mount to be -1 to hit from shooting in combat. He's carrying a lance and a lucky shield. And next to him is another Stegodon. This time he's coming out of my rare. He's an ancient as well, and he's carrying the God Engine, which is awesome. Love the new upgrade. In front of him are some jungle swarms, 2 bases of them, which come out of core. Love that. And next to the jungle swarms is another solo salamander. They are sitting straight in front of my block of Temple Guard. I believe I've got 26 full command with the Weapons Master upgrade, which is awesome. And they also have a Razor Flag, and inside them is the Slann. The Slann is rocking Law of High. with Master of the Winds, Alternative Thinking to give him an additional spell, which I'm picking as Wesson's Wild Form, or the new one anyway, which is +1 Strength and Toughness from the Law of Beasts, a signature spell. And he's got spells 1, 3, 4, 5 and 6 of high. And the reason he's got 5 spells is because he's carrying an Arcane Tome, which is a 25-point arcane item, which gives him access to an additional spell. So he's actually got 6 in total. And lastly, filling out my core and the rest of my army is my Bligtree unit of Skinks. I don't think you can actually play Lizardmen without Skinks, even though I do try. There's 10 of them with blowpipes, and they are skirmishing. I won the roll to go first, so let's go. On the left flank, I move forward, not very graciously, quite cautiously. The Salamander sticks his head out. Just taunted some skellies to run the gauntlet. The centre is about an 8-inch surge forward. That's going to be a really tight bottleneck through there. And on my right, the Salamander sneaks up to the corner of the building. The Pterodons are vanguarded forward, and the Saurus move up behind them, and the Troglodon, is with his 7-inch move, screams up 14 right into the centre of the board. I couldn't get the Pterodons behind his lines, and as he's pretty much had all his charge arcs covered, there was no gaps from the 5th in, so I thought it was better to just hold them back and then drop them behind once he moves forward in my next turn. My first magic phase was 9 dice to 6. What you're actually witnessing here is the result of Doug failing to dispel the only spell I successfully got off in my turn, which was Cataclysm on the higher casting value on his Skellies. It's a remains in play spell that does a strength 4 hit to every model in the unit at the end of every magic phase. So let's see if Doug manages to dispel it or not, or even remembers. But he took it really well, even though his one of his Skelly units is just vaporized because I killed 19. With magic out of the way and most of my shooting out of range, I only had a bolt to fire from the back of my Stegodon for my BSB. Rolled a 1 to wound a Vargeist. End of my turn. With revenge on his mind, Doug began his turn by surging across the board with a strong push in the centre. These are a load of foes, just show where he moved forward and where he held back. He's angling a lot of the stuff, trying to sort of bait me in to drawing certain units out. His magic phase was a wash. He's only had enough power dice to cast 1 spell. He attempted for and failed Curse of Years on my Temple Guard block, which leaves Catalyst going off again on the same skeleton unit because this remains in play at the end of his turn. Out of the 11 Skellies, all taking strength 4 hits, I only killed 3. So, worse things have happened. With his magic out of the way, and his only shooting being his Banshee who wasn't in range, that brought about the end of Doug's turn, and the end of turn 1 in total. And this is just a picture of the board at the end. We're having a bit of a laugh on the Jokers. Turn 2 rolls round, so throw caution to the wind, chuck both of the Stegs into the Crypt Horrors, and as you can see, they both failed. Both by an inch each as well, which is disappointing to say the least. This leaves them a bit out in the open, so I throw the Swarms up to redirect the Vargeist, and I put the Temple Guard up to protect their flank, because my hand's been forced really, because I'm in a position where I can't really leave the Stags out on a limb. This is over towards my left. I push my Skinks up. I'm not actually going for the Banshee here because she's ethereal. What I'm actually trying to do is trying to redirect the Skellies, so hopefully if they charge, I'm going to pull them away from the line so that they can't come into the flank of my Temple Guard, leaving a nice little corridor for my Salamander to fit in, flame away, and knowing he won't get charged, because obviously if they have to go over towards the Skinks, then they're not going to have the Salamander in the line of sight. That's the plan anyway, see what happens. Over on the right flank, the Salamander sneaks around the building, and the Saurus turn towards the furthest flank Vargeist and Black Coach, and my Troglodon drinks his liquid courage and plows forward into the horde of zombies. I'm not too worried about the Troglodon taking any wounds, but what I am worried about is him just being stuck there all game. But I'm in a position where if I hold up those zombies, it leaves my Saurus, who get lethal strike against the chariot. I'm just trying to sort of really play a delay tactic over this flank, because all the points for his vampires are really on the other flank with his BSB and his general. So just trying to stave off a steamroll on this flank. Magic is 6 dice to 4. The Slan goes for, I think it was called Vault and Making, which is just get rid of a magic item. I target his general, his necromancer level 4, trying to get rid of the +1 to cast and dispel he's got, because it's making it really difficult in mine and his magic phase. I get Irresistible Force, of course, which means the necromancer loses his 4+ ward save. Doesn't take a wound though, but my Slan is reduced to a level 2, which is disappointing to say the least. But on the trade-off, Catalyst still hasn't been dispelled. It goes off again on the last 8 remaining Skellies and kills 7 of them, leaving the champion alive. So Doug's now got a free piece of chaff. With my Slan now a level 2 and only 2 turns gone, he's got +5 to dispel, and I'm -1 to cast on top of that from his corpse cart. So things aren't looking good on the magic. I look towards my Salamander to carry the day, my shooting to pick up a bit of the slack left over from my now level 2 Slan. I'm starting to foam at the mouth as I place the template down, but of course I roll a 6, giving me a misfire, taking a wound, no shots fired. Perfect. Although I can't really complain for long, because the Salamander in the centre lands a perfect shot right through the centre of the horde of zombies, killing, oh god, I think 15 maybe, 13, something like that, which is roughly equivalent to half his points. And then my skinks open up with their blowpipes and kill 2 Skellies. Shooting down, we go into combat. The Troglodon's the only combat on the board, right in the middle with the big horde of zombies. I think he kills a few and about 6 crumble. I think he wins by 6 or something like that. And yeah, on to turn 2. So bottom of turn 2, this is what Doug's looking at the start of his turn. I don't really know what I'm trying to show here. Probably just a close-ups. This is Quichua Tembo, the big fat Slan. Once again, I'm going to apologise for the quality of these photos. Like I said, guys, this is my first report, so bear with me. The quality will improve with experience. So movement then, charges all across the board. Here, Doug doesn't fail any. None of them were particularly long. As you can see, the champion is now free chaff unit, which is all that's left of the Cataclysm Skellied unit from the first turn. Charges into the, I think it's the rear of my Salamander. Is it the flank? Yeah, it's the flank. Both of his Vargeist make it into my 2 swarms, which are in front of my Temple Guard. Over on the right flank then, his Vargeist charged into my Pterodons, which I failed to mention, I must have not taken a photo of them, had moved up to sort of chaff up his Black Coach and his Vargeist, so he charged his Vargeist into the 2 Pterodons. And moved his Black Coach just around the outside. In the centre, he... I don't know why, don't ask me. I told him to charge them. I even offered him to let it go back and charge them at the end of his movement phase, but he didn't want to. He just wanted to move his zombies forward and block up my Salamander. Maybe he was scared of failing a charge or something. I don't really know. He gets 4 dice to 3. I'm the level 2, like I keep saying. I know I keep dripping about it, but it is genuinely devastating. And he's level 4 with +1 to cast. So he gets off Curse of Years. I failed to stop it. It doesn't kill that many Temple Guard because I've got a 5+ ward save from the engine. But thankfully it's only wounding on 6s, so I only lose 2, which I felt very fortunate about. But I just can't stop his spells. He then, with his last 2 dice, he gets a 13 on his last 2 dice, obviously with his +5, and gets Raised Dead off. He rolls a 6, a 6, and a 5, summoning 17 Skeleton Warriors in the flank of my Temple Guard. Thrilled about that. Oh no, sorry, it's 20. 20, even better. Banshee Screams does 2 wounds to the Skinks. But just when I'm at my lowest, Double Burger turns up. Seal it bang. I'm ready for the combat phase now. Let's do this. Predictably, my swarms get killed before they can attack. One Vargeist reforms, one overruns into my Temple Guard, and the Troglodon only wins by 1, being the combat beast he is, and crumbles 1 zombie. And Salamander that got charged in the flank was in danger of of losing combat after fluffing his attacks, and I was going to lose by charge and a flank and all that, but Stomp got the final kill. And over on the right, Pterodons get absolutely creamed. One guy left alive on 1 wound. Yeah, rolls up double 1. Gotta love cold-blooded. Right, top of turn 3, charges with the Stegodon. These are nice and easy now because they're really close. One Steg goes into the Vargeist, the other goes into the Crypt Horrors. I don't feel any charges across the board. The Saurus on my right charge up to assist the Troglodon, hoping to blow through those zombies. Otherwise I'll be taking a Black Coach and a Vargeist in the rear Brigadier. As you can see, the Salamanders then scoot off to the flank to shoot down their lines. The other Salamander's out of combat now after killing the lone skeleton warrior champion with a stomp. For some reason, Doug in the previous turn didn't charge the Scallies into the Skinks. I think he was expecting the Banshee to blow them up from the Wailing Scream, but the Skinks were in range of these Slann Inspiring's presence, so not much damage was done. As you can imagine, magic is just a wash. I think it's 4 dice to 4. Oh, that's just not enough with all his advantages for me to get anything through. So I just take my dice to spell Curse of Years on my Temple Guard. I thought that's a smart option, I think, really, rather than try to risk to try and get some spells. Salamander shooting is extremely effective. One Salamander kills 17 zombies by shooting straight down the line, and the other Sally kills, the one that misfired the last turn, kills 10 Scallies, and then the Skinks kill another 2 from the blowpipe, so yeah, things are picking up. So those astute and experienced Warhammer players amongst you can probably realise which way combat went for the Vampire Counts this turn. With the Temple Guard having received a Vargulf overrun into them, they couldn't really do much this turn other than club them about. They lost 4 of their number, but did enough wounds with their Strength 5 halberds to clean out the Vargulf and reform after he crumbled. The Engine of Gods got his charge off, giving him impact hits into the Vargulf at Strength 6. That was far too much for the Vargulf to handle, and blew straight through him. Rolled a double 6 for overrun and smashed into the Crypt Horrors, who had yet to fight the round of combat. So then I had the 2 Stegodons then do impact hits all over again. Doug made a lot of successful regeneration saves, otherwise I probably would have blown through the whole unit. But I did manage to half hit this combat, even though I rolled 2 1s for the impact hits for both the Stegodons in the second combat, so could have been worse. The Trollodon and the Saurus combo just blows through zombies, pretty much expected. There was a bit of a clusterfuck trying to reform them because they were so tight together that when they popped an inch apart, I wanted to turn the Saurus towards my right flank to receive a charge from the monster in the chariot, but it was really difficult trying to keep their centre the same and still trying to turn them away. It was a bit of a mess. Try not to take the liberty too much, and I did try to keep them close to the original point as possible, but it was just it was a bit confusing. If anyone's got any good ideas on how you actually address that, just leave a comment downstairs. After losing 2 Vargulfs in combat last turn, he decides to not hang about anymore. Charges all over the board. None of them are fails. They all get in. He charges these Skinks on the left flank. He charges the Black Coach and the Vargulf into the Saurus on the right flank. He charges the giant single rank of zombies that's left over into the Salamander. He charges his bunker, his wizard bunker, into the front of my Temple Guard, and the newly created Raised Dead zombie into the flank. I think he was hoping to turn the tide a bit. Magic is 7 dice to 4. He gets a bubble reroll wounds off from his general, which affects the Crypt Horrors, the 2 blocks of Scallies fighting my Temple Guard, and I think he affects the block of Scallies fighting my Skinks as well. And in shooting on his right flank, his Banshee takes revenge for lost skeletons and screams my Salamander to death. In combat, on the left, the Skinks hold on a ridiculously low roll to the skeleton warriors. The Temple Guard get into with the combat in the centre. They cream off 13 skeleton warriors. They lose 4 in return, but 2 Temple Guard are touching his Necromancer Lord. And if you recall, on my second turn, I think it was, when I miscast and dropped myself down to a level 2, I got rid of his 4+ ward, and those 2 Temple Guard plus 1 or 2 supports was enough to kill his Necromancer Lord, which is not a good result for Doug at all. I win by 6 and I crumble another, I think, 5 or so from each unit, because his BSB obviously reduces it. In the combat with the Stegs, the crypts, 2 more crypts die. My Engine of the Gods gets dropped down to 1 wound, and it ends up just being a bit well, it's not the end of the world for Doug, but he's not in a good position at all with those 2 Cryptaras in combat with the Stegs. Stegs aren't great for attrition combat, especially when they can't Thunder Stomp anything. But the strength 4 from the Cryptaras is not enough to kill off my Engine of the Gods. The Troglodon loses by 1 and holds. So I forgot to mention, yeah, the Troglodon got charged by the Corpse Guards. This is the biggest pillow fight you'll ever see. It only lost by 1 because of Doug scored 1 for charge, and we don't do any wounds to each other. The Saurus lose by 2, and they're steadfast and hold. The Vargolf's doing a lot of wounds. Because his strength 6 just doesn't give me any save, it's just a mess. The Black Coach I didn't think did particularly well with impact hits, but we did 2 wounds to the Saurus, do 2 wounds to each of the Vargolf and the Black Coach, but we're taking tower tests every turn, and there's no Slan or BSB about, so 1 bad roll and that whole block could disappear. At top of turn 4, as I start my turn, movement phase is extremely brief, as you can probably imagine. I don't think I have a single unit that's not in combat. Magic phase rolls around and it's 12 dice to 6, just the phase I needed, especially now I have magical dominance as he no longer has a spellcaster. I managed to get Phoenix Rising off on the Engine of the Gods, healing a wound and giving him +1 strength, so that'll give him the nice little 2 wound buffer zone that he needed. And with my last dice, I managed to get +2 weapon skill off on the Temple Guard, and I get +1 strength and toughness off on them as well, which will spell the doom for those 2 skeleton units. Another ridiculous combat carries on my left flank, where the Skinks get into another pillow fight again with the Scallies. They manage to hold again on a really low roll. The Stegodons kill the last Cryptara, and I get into a problem again where I can't reform them because they pop an inch apart, but I can't turn any of them or angle them because of how close they are together. If anyone's got any ideas on that, again, it's the second time it's come up this game. Let me know in the comments. The Temple Guard actually they just go to town, as you can imagine. On the skeletons, they got like their weapon skill 6, I think, with strength 6, toughness 5. They haul off. I think they kill 11 skeletons, and then to add insult to injury, the 4 wounds he does to me, I pass all 4 of those 6+ ward saves, which adds even more damage to the combat res. You can imagine popping even more. So I think I could kill another 8 with combat res, leaving the 1 guy in the flank and the BSB left on 1 wound. Nasty. And then the Troglodon pillow fight again with the Corpse Guard. Neither of them's going anywhere. They can't do anything to each other. And the Saurus lose by about 8 or 9. Thankfully, they pass the terror check. They do 2 wounds. They do a wound to each, to the Vargolf and to the Black Coach. But with hunger, both of the wounds are healed back immediately. So, yeah, fight to the death. As you can imagine, the next turn and a half is pretty detrimental to the vampire counts. They've got no general left and no magic, so they start crumbling. The BSB kills a Temple Guard unit champion in a challenge, but then promptly crumbles to combat resolution. The Skinks get killed by the skeletons on my left flank, and then the skeletons turn towards the Temple Guard. The Temple Guard turn towards them, and my next turn then they charge in and they have a good scrap. On the right flank, the Saurus are down to the last few models. They don't even have a rank left anymore. They can't do anything to the now ethereal Black Coach. I move the Stegodons, both of them, over to my flank to support them, but they won't get there in time. the Troglodon come out of nowhere, does 3 wounds to the corpse cart, and kills it, and does the last wound to it through crumbling. Through crumbling from combat resolution, and that is the end of the game. A solid win for the Lizardmen, leaving Doug's just got his ethereal Nails Black coach left flying around. It was an excellent game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'd like to thank Doug for a good one. We always have a good one whenever we play. If you enjoyed my report and you want to see more of the same, or if you'd like to tell me what you want to see changed, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because this is going to be a journey as I play test this army in the next upcoming weeks as we build up to the tournament in Cardiff in February. Thanks, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Out.